Hello, there we go. All right, hello everybody here in our TV studio, and hello to everyone all across the world, the United States, that might be tuned in tonight. We're so excited to have Rabbi Mark Fishman. I've known him for about a year, a little bit, getting more acquainted. He's been with Israel 365 for how long?
Approaching 2 years.
Almost 2 years. He's been with Israel 365. As you know, we've known people there for over a decade. I think it was even before Israel 365 began. When did Israel 365 begin?
14 years ago.
Oh, 14 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, okay, great. Well, that's about how long I've known some of these guys. And I am just so thrilled that you guys can hear from Rabbi Mark Fishman. He is an excellent teacher. You are going to be so thrilled. And I know we clicked the minute we met. And I'm just so appreciative that he's willing to come to the ends of the earth.
Quite literally.
But it mentions that in the Bible. That's us.
Thank you so much, Pastor Mark. It is a pleasure and an honor for me to stand here today in front of all of you, both those of you who are here in the studio, as well as those of you who are tuning in and watching online. And I want you to know that I come here truly with the blessings of the land of Israel. I left Israel a couple of days ago. My accent, you're probably thinking, that definitely sounds more London, England than Israel. And without going into a biography of me, born in London, England, moved to Israel with my family 4 years ago. Happy to talk and share with everybody more about my personal story later. But for right now, I want you to know that I work for Israel 365, and Israel 365 is an incredible company. It's an incredible organization. And our mission statement is to build relationships and build bridges and build meaningful encounters between Jews and Christians in promotion, in defense, and in support of the state of Israel, and to promote biblical values throughout the world, and to stand uncompromisingly for those biblical values, because we believe today that the world is in need of those biblical values. And when you move away from the values of the Bible, it might not happen overnight, but a day, a week, a month, a year, a generation or two, and suddenly you lose sight of what it is that the reason is for us to be here. And that's when things get a little scary. That's when things get a little off course. And I'll just share with you just one of those opening biblical values. In the very beginning, God tells Adam and Eve in the very beginning, be fruitful and multiply. Be fruitful and multiply. To have children is a biblical value. Now, I know not everybody is blessed with children, and that's not always in our hands. We can attempt to have children. We don't always receive the blessings. That's something which comes from heaven. But in the beginning, Adam and Eve are blessed, be fruitful and multiply. Today, when we look at Europe, who is drifting away from those biblical values, well, just by virtue of one example, in order to sustain a population statistics, in order to simply stay where you are, a country has to have on average, of 2.2 children for the entirety of the population. And that will ensure, we're speaking about a population as a whole, no one family can have 0.2 children. That's a little tricky. It's a little tricky. Although our rambunctious 2-year-old certainly counts for more than one. She's got us cornered, but that's a different story. But for a population as a whole, the statistics require 2.2. Did you know that there is not a single country in Europe today that has even 2% on average of children? Which means that in 2 generations from now, Europe will be dying. A scary statistic. And contrast this with be fruitful and multiply. Europe was once the seat of Christianity, of the Bible. And today, Europe is dying a slow death because it's simply not reproducing in large enough numbers to be able to sustain itself with an ability to stay where it is. It's simply shrinking. And so Israel 365 is teaching Jews and Christians and all of those who promote and support and believe in our biblical values, simply that, our biblical values. And we do this through a whole host of educational resources and opportunities. And I'll share just one with you. I would love for you to go onto our website. It's called Israel365.com. And one of our resources are Bible classes where we as Orthodox Jews teach the Hebrew Bible, and we put this out online on video, and we call ourselves the Netflix of the Bible. Sure, you've heard of Netflix. And the best thing about Netflix is that you get to choose what you want to watch when you want to watch it. So we have created literally hundreds of biblical classes where you get to choose what you want to watch when you want to watch it. And just like Netflix, when you pause and stop and then you pick it up again later, it starts right where you left off. And we call this program Bible Plus. And so I come here today with a bookmark for you. If you're in the audience, tomorrow we will give you a link to Bible Plus. But if you're in the audience, I'm going to give you a physical bookmark. It's our Bible Plus bookmark. You can put this in a regular book. Do you remember what those were once upon a time? Okay, good. Before the Kindle took over books, we're in the home of Seattle, right? Technology, Amazon. So before the Kindle destroyed the regular book, you would put a bookmark inside your book to remind you what page you were on. Here on this QR code, it will send you straight to Bible Plus. And you can check out our website, and you'll be able to take a look at all of those wonderful opportunities that we have online to learn the Bible. Now, that is by way of introduction to Israel 365. A little bit of an introduction to myself. Final introduction. Don't worry, we're going to learn today. I've been told that you are here for learning, and we are going to learn today, okay? But my final introduction is one of thanks and appreciation to our host, because I met Pastor Mark Biltz just a year ago. Another educational opportunity is that we have a pastor's scholars circle, where a couple of times a month, myself and other teachers at Israel 365, we run a high-level scholars circle for pastors around the world, giving them resources, information, biblical high-level scholarship, which they in turn can use to the degree that they want to share with their congregations around the world. Pastor Mark never missed a single class after we launched it this year. And what a student. You know him as a teacher. You see, I know him as a beloved student. The truth is, we're friends. We're colleagues, we're friends. And his insights were so marvelous, I found myself saying, hang on a second, this isn't a regular student. Who are you? Where do you come from? He knew things I'd never heard before, never seen before. And that very quickly led to us having a Zoom, because I'm in Israel, he is in Seattle sometimes, and it led to us having a Zoom, a second Zoom, a third, and we became fast friends. We met in person for the first time this February at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention, the NRB, which was held in Nashville this year with our friends in Nashville. And in a very short space of time, we became very fast friends. And to pass the mark, I want to thank you and express publicly my gratitude to you for opening up your congregation, the studio, and all those who are watching at home. I'm reminded of an ancient Jewish teaching. This is found in the Avot de Rabbi Natan. And the teaching goes as follows. Who is a hero? It's a fascinating question. You might think in your mind's eye lots of different answers to that. If we would ask that in 2026, the answer we would get, unfortunately, but if you ask that question on the street, who is a hero, it would probably be a sports star, right? If you look at the posters that go up at teenagers' bedroom walls, usually be a sports star. Second place would be a pop star. Who's a hero? Pop stars. But sometimes, and I like sports and I like pop, don't get me wrong. But sometimes when you scratch a little under the surface, sports stars can leave a little to be desired, and pop stars leave you wanting a little bit. Who are the real heroes of our society? Well, if you ask me, the first answer that comes to my mind would be nurses, actually. I think nurses are the greatest heroes of our society. They work so hard, so long. Unfortunately, the pay is not where I think all of us would want it to be for nurses. Close second would be teachers. Surely they are the heroes of our society. Think about it for a moment. Do you know what holds society together? Do you know what passes society on to the next generation? Teachers. Because they are the ones, and it's held together and passed on by the slenderest of threads. All it takes is for one generation of children not to be taught, and there goes society. And it's teachers who pass that on to the next generation. So those are my answers. Nurses, teachers. Society at large, perhaps pop stars, sports stars. Do you know what the Jewish sages said for who is a hero? Listen carefully, it's a beautiful answer. Who is a hero? A person that can turn a stranger into a friend. Person that can turn a stranger into a friend. Pastor Mark Biltz, just a few short months ago, was a stranger to me, and I'm proud and honored today to be able to call him my friend. And so to my hero, and one of my heroes, thank you. Friends, we're in for a treat because I'm going to share with you over 7 sessions. It's okay, you can run away after one, don't worry. If you're bored, if you're falling asleep, you can run. I'm going to share with you over 7 sessions the theme, one of the great themes, which is the King is in the field. This is going to be an extended essay, so to speak, on the theme of Elul. Elul being one of the names of the Jewish months of the year. In fact, it's the last month of the year, because following the month of Elul comes the month of Tishrei, and the first of the month of Tishrei is Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. And so, as we enter the penultimate month of the year, Elul, we are preparing ourselves for Rosh Hashanah. And in Jewish consciousness, and we're going to see, especially in class number 1, how this came about. In Jewish consciousness, in Jewish understandings, in a biblical and rabbinic approach to the month of Elul, we have this approach to what does it mean to prepare ourselves spiritually? What does it mean to wake ourselves up? What does it mean to anticipate? What does it mean to get ready? And this is a beautiful time and moment for us to touch on the month of Elul, because the month of Elul begins a week from now. So if Elul is a month of preparation leading us towards Rosh Hashanah, we ourselves now have a week's worth to go to prepare for that month of preparation. Are you with me? You are good. Pastor Mark, 10 out of 10. These people are they're on the ball. They're with me. It's amazing. My other congregant, they'll be asleep at this point. Okay, I see you've come to learn. Now, we're going to be using handouts, and I have prepared handouts for all of you. Hopefully you have them. We're going to be looking at various texts. If you haven't yet taken a handout, there's a stack of them to your right, my left, as you walk in. If you are watching online, my understanding is that these handouts have been made available and accessible to you, and you can access these online. So, does everybody have them? Great, great. Let us dive in. Now, we have a nice crowd here. I want to make this audience friendly. If you have a question, you absolutely can stop me, okay? I know this might be a little bit tricky for those watching at home, but that's okay. I want you engaged with me. I want you here with me. And if something's not clear, absolutely. You put your hand up, you shout out, stop, and you ask a question, okay? And if you want to challenge me, put up your hand, ask a question. By the way, how do we learn? By asking questions. If we're too shy, we won't learn. And as much as I might believe this at home, I am not the source and foundation of all truth in the world, okay? Don't tell my kids that. I've still fooled them, okay? Got about another 20 seconds left until that's up. But you can challenge me, and we'll get into a dialogue, okay? Excellent. Let's begin. I want to begin, by the way, that was all by way of introduction. I'm only going to keep you another 7 hours, okay? Thank you. Everyone was laughing. Pastor Mark, he's ready. He wants the 7 hours. He's hoping I'm serious. I love it. This is why we're brothers. This is why we're brothers. Elul is a season of spiritual awakening, or at least it can be. It can be. It's a season of rebuilding, repairing. It's a season of second chances. And its biblical call is the most challenging, hardest biblical call we will ever encounter in our lives. Its biblical call is self-examination. Now that is already too overwhelming and too scary for me to go on without a little joke. Because as you will find, the harder and more challenging the task at hand, the more we have to deliver the message with humor. Because if we weren't laughing, we would be intimidated from the challenge. So how often have you been staring into a dirty mirror, noticing that there's some stains on your nose, and yet we keep wiping the mirror, thinking all we need to do is get rid of that dust. And no matter how much we keep wiping away the dust in that mirror, the stain on our nose remains. Elul is a season of opportunity for us to do the hardest work there is. It's to stop cleaning the mirror and to start cleaning ourselves. And all too often throughout the year, when we take a glance, and it's scary, believe you me, when we come face to face with our reflection, we don't oftentimes like what we see. How many times have you gotten into the car and not played music, and not played a podcast, and not put on any background noise? I'll tell you, never. You know why? Because you would be left alone with somebody that you wouldn't want to be in the company of, yourself. Because when we're in the company of ourselves, ooh, it's scary. When we look back in that mirror, oh, there's dust on that mirror. At least that's what we tell ourselves. Because in our conception, boy, am I beautiful. I am gorgeous. I am absolutely perfect. There's no dust on my face. Must be the mirror. So we keep wiping that mirror, in a sense almost of self-denial, telling ourselves, you are gorgeous. Elul is our opportunity to have a moment of true reflection. I want to go to the prophet Shaddai as our first source. And this is the biblical origin of the month of Elul. Says the text, did I give you the Hebrew and the English, by the way? Okay, good. I gave you the English? Okay. Because this was going to be a Hebrew intensive if I messed that up. In the 2nd year of King Darius, in the 6th month, on the 1st day of the month, the word of the Lord came through Haggai the prophet. Thus says the Lord of hosts. Now, stop there for a moment. I'm not going to get into this with you. Fabulously complicated. Judaism does not have a singular calendar. We have 2 calendars. I'm not going to get into this with you. If your students have passed the mark, you probably are familiar with this. We have a calendar of years and a calendar of months. We are not familiar with this, those of us who live with a secular calendar, because if I said to you, it's the end of the year, and I said to you, it's December 31st, you'd say, yeah, I know, you said it's the end of the year. It's December 31st. Those are the same thing. In Judaism, to make things super complicated, the end of the year is month 6 out of 12 months. Okay? Month 7 is the beginning of the year when we count it according to months. That bends our brains a little bit, because it's me telling you that December 31st and end of the year are 2 separate things. And you're like, no, they're the same. They're the same. The closest we have to this, by the way, is the academic school year. Do you have schools in America? Okay, good. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Do they start in September? Okay. If you were to say to someone, oh, September, it's the beginning of the school year, that would make sense, right? So you would say, September's the beginning of the year. That's the same as Judaism. Month 7, beginning of the year, on one level. Okay? Good. When does this story of Haggai take place? In the 6th month. Do you see that? In other words, the final month of the year. Are you with me? Okay, great. I hope I didn't lose you. It's a very simple idea. We're in the last month of the year. Just so happens to be month number 6. Month number 7 is when we begin our new cycle of years again, according to months. And the word came through Haggai saying the following. Here is the punchline. Consider your ways. You have planted much, but harvested little. You eat, but are not satisfied. You drink, but are not filled. You clothe yourselves, but no one is warm. One who earns wages earns them for a bag with holes. Very poetic, very beautiful. Let's see if we can unpack this and understand what the prophet is saying. Consider your ways. This is how he opens his remarks. In the Hebrew, Simu levavchem ar darchechem. Consider your ways. If it was translated literally, place your hearts upon the paths that you are taking. Isn't that beautiful? How would you say consider your ways in biblical Hebrew? Place your heart onto the paths that you are taking. What are you doing with your life? Where are you going in your life? What's getting you out of bed in the morning with your life? What are you doing in a monotonous cycle again and again and again, over and over? Have you stopped to consider if this is what you want to do? And if you have considered and you've come to the answer, no, this isn't what I want to do, what, you may ask yourself, is then holding you back from actually doing what you want to do? And by the way, I'm here speaking to myself as well. I am not here coming to you today as a preacher with all the answers figured out, with a perfect life. I'm muddling my way through this mess we call life, just like we all are, okay? I'm here talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you. Correction. I'm here talking to myself more than I'm talking to you. Because I'm figuring out this journey as well. Because it's a journey. And sometimes the hardest part, especially when it's a journey with God, is you don't know where the destination is going to take you. But you know you're not walking alone. You're walking with the Lord. And so the prophet Haggai says, consider your ways. And do you know what that means? That means, perhaps for many of us, we're going through the motions. We're going through the motions. And look at what he said. You planted, but harvested little. Do you ever feel like that? You come home at the end of the day, and maybe if you're lucky enough, there's somebody there. Hi, honey, how was your day? Because that's how we speak to each other at home, right? Right, good. Hi, darling, how was your day? As opposed to, what time do you call this? Or what do you want? Or here, take the baby. And you come home at the end of the day and you ask yourself, what did I accomplish today? What did I actually get done? And I'm not talking about the fact that you were messing about on Instagram the whole time and you weren't doing your spreadsheets. No. I'm actually talking about the fact that you were doing your work and you were investing and you were busy. And yet at the end of the week, you turn and you stop and you say, what did I accomplish? What have I actually done? And Haggai says, you've planted much, but harvested little. Could ever have there been a more contemporary description of our lives? What did you do? I don't know. Well, you went to work for 9 hours today. I see you've got a mountain of emails that you still need to get through. You're going to be on the phone for the next hour. I know that you've got a meeting at 9 o'clock tonight. What are you accomplishing? I don't know. It's madness. I don't know. You eat, but you're not satisfied. Anyone that's on a diet knows that line very well. How was dinner? It was a salad. I'm starving. Okay. I'm going to tell a joke about my diet. We're not going there. Okay. We don't know each other that well just yet, okay? Give me another hour and then we'll... You drink, but you're not filled. You clothe yourself, no one is warm. One who earns wages earns them for a bag with holes. What happens to a bag with holes in it? Things fall out. And everything we've achieved, all of those pennies that we put into our bag, we go to open the bag and it's fallen out. Consider your ways. Haggai is speaking about the month of Elul. And it's not too much to suggest that he's describing what the spiritual work should be done on and during Elul. That's key. It's not coincidental that the Bible says this happened on Rosh Chodesh Elul, on the first of the month of Elul. It's specific. If God's word is coming to the prophet and the message is, consider your ways. What are you doing in life? Where are you in life? Who are you in life? It's specific to the month of Elul. It's not isolated. It's not haphazard. It's not by chance. And Haggai introduces us to a sense of examining our lives deeply. But you know what happens if all you are left with is this? Person could be led to despair. It could actually be quite scary. Please don't leave now. That would be a disaster. I've only got through the first part of what I want to say. If you leave now, I've depressed you for the rest of the day. Because right now you should feel horrible and depressed. But a person can feel, oh my God, I'm going to take him seriously. What am I doing? Am I just on one of those hamster wheels? What am I doing? But there's another message of Elul. There's another message of Elul. And Elul is not meant to lead us and leave us with despair, but actually Elul is meant to offer us renewed possibility. Okay, this you got to stay for. If I've made you feel sad, at least let me make you feel good again. Because Elul is about the opportunity for renewal. Take a look at the second text. This is Exodus 34. Do you have it on your source sheets? Okay, great. Just for context, Exodus 34 is God speaking to Moses after the event of the golden calf. Do you remember this moment? Good. Moses receives the 10 commandments. He brings the 2 tablets down, otherwise known as iPad 10 and iPad 11. And he brings the 2 tablets down from heaven and sees the people dancing around a golden calf, smashes the tablets on the floor, prays for forgiveness, and this is where we enter Exodus 34. Take a look at how the narrative continues. The Lord said to Moses, carve for yourself 2 tablets of stone like the first ones. Stop there. Who carved the first ones? Good. Who's carving the second ones? I'm going to come back to that. It's key. It's actually the key to opening up this entire mystery. Keep reading with me. I will write upon the tablets the words that were upon the first tablets, which you shattered. Be ready in the morning and ascend Mount Sinai. Stop there. Okay, good. God has given Moses his instructions. I want you this time to carve out the second set. I will still write the 10 Commandments upon them, and it will be the same as what I wrote previously. But I want you to carve them out, and I want you to be ready in the morning. Fine, so far so good. You with me? Okay, it's very important. This is also part of being British. Things are orderly, they're structured. We're going to go step by step, okay? It's part of my nature. I can't help it, okay? Like you come to my home, my forks, my knives, they're all like perpendicular, they're arranged. A little bit sleeping with the enemy, but we're off topic right now. You remember where he turns the cans in the... Okay, what am I... Okay, focus, okay. Moses arose early in the morning and ascended Mount Sinai as the Lord had commanded him. And he took the 2 tablets of stone in his hand. The Lord descended in the cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of the Lord. The Lord passed before him and proclaimed, the Lord, God, merciful and gracious, slow to anger, abundant in kindness and truth, preserving kindness for thousands, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin. Moses remained there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He neither ate bread nor drank water, and he wrote upon the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. Moses initially shatters the 10 Commandments, and the original giving of the Torah ends in failure. It's a catastrophe. It could not have gone worse. And then, after failure, comes a second chance. Comes an additional opportunity. Let's do this again. It's going to require human participation this time. Previously, hey presto, I click my fingers, popping out of the sky are 2 tablets. That's easy. That's something I don't have to invest in. That's something I can sit back with. That's something I can take my foot off the pedal for. God, you're going to handle all of this. But now when there's a second chance after the destruction of the tablets, Moses, I'm going to need you to put in some work. I'm going to need you to put in some effort. I'm going to need you here to engage and be part of this process of restoration. I can supply the forgiveness, but I need you to step up and be willing to rewrite the new chapter with me. This is the story of Exodus 34. God forgiving and being willing to start over. And what more could there be with starting over than the destruction of the 10 Commandments? This was the word of God on the tablets of God. And Moses comes down and smashes them on the floor. It would have been a disaster. And God says, even that, we can do over. We can start again. We can repair. We can fix. We can heal. But now your participation is needed in the fixing. Question, yes. Excellent. Excellent. Didn't I tell you he was a good student? The question which is being asked by Pastor Mark is, if you take a look at the text, at the very end it says, he neither ate bread nor drank water, and he wrote upon the tablets the words of the covenant. That word he, who is that referring to? The first time around, it's clearly Moses. When it says he didn't eat and he didn't drink, Well, that's a human. Humans eat and drink. God does not eat and drink. So it must be that the first part, he neither ate bread nor drank water, is Moses. But then in the very next word, and he wrote upon the tablets. So who was writing upon the tablets? We have God. Let me see by a show of hands. What's your name, sir? Mark. Everyone's called Mark in this city. It's amazing. I'm the worst person with names. So far, it's Mark, 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 and Mark. This is amazing. This is amazing. Hands up if you agree with Mark that he is God. Hands up. About half. Hands up if it's Moses. About a quarter. Any other suggestions? No, it's either one of the two. Good. It's either one of the two. The traditional approach is that it is God who is writing the words. And the beauty here is that it is a double-sided effort. Moses will carve the tablet, second set, and God will write that second 10 commandments. Good. Question? Yes. Excellent. Very good. Very good. Close reading. Excellent eyes. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. What's your name, madam? You are quick. You are quick. You're quick. Okay. We'll call you a feminine version. It's like Maxine or Marcel or something. Marsha. Okay. Question. Yes. That is an excellent question. That is an excellent question. Multiple approaches are suggested within the Jewish tradition for the cause of Moses smashing the tablets. Without going into it now, it's a class unto itself. I'll give you just a few of the anger, sparing the people so that they would not feel the full wrath of God, because they would then be bound by the laws if he gave it to them, and the law was don't make idols. So Moses was actually sparing them. A third, which is my favorite, when he saw them dancing and he was so disappointed, his strength left him and he simply couldn't hold on to them anymore. He didn't smash them as much as he could no longer bear their weight. There's a lot more to discuss. It's actually really interesting, and the implications of each approach, it's another class. Speak to the powers that be. Maybe I'll come back another time. There's a lot of jokes. I'm trying to keep the jokes to a minimum because we'll be here all day. I want to go into an ancient rabbinic text. Now, I'm going to say one word about methodology now. This is really important because a lot of the time we're not sure what to make out of Midrash. Is the community familiar with Midrash? Very. Okay. I'm going to say just a minute on it. If this is obvious and simple, give me nods. If not, it's fine. But it bears presenting. The rabbis of our tradition looked into the Bible and created additional narratives to supplement the biblical text, in a way of teaching us an additional level of information, primarily a moral lesson. Did it happen literally? It doesn't matter. It's actually irrelevant whether it happened that way or not. the moral lesson that they are trying to teach is more important than if historically it actually happened that way. I have put in 60 seconds just now a bookshelf of books on the subject of Midrash. Believe you me, that's the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more to say. We'll leave it there for now. If this is interesting to you, we'll discuss it after. Subtangent 87. Okay, good. It's going to be a long day. But the following is a rabbinic midrash, okay? Yes, sir. For the purposes of right now, we'll say they're on the same level. Created by the rabbis. Again, people do PhDs on your questions, sir. They really do. They really do. But for now, let's say same. Okay. This is taken from Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. Do you have it on your sheets? Amazing. Amazing. The rabbis of the Midrash wanted to ask a question. And it's a simple question. And maybe you were wondering this yourself. When we just read Exodus 34, when God says, I want to give you another chance. I want you to come back up the mountain. I want you to this time, you carve out the tablets and I'm going to write them. Were you wondering to yourself, I wonder what day that was? Was anyone wondering that? Do you see how deeply the rabbis of the Midrash delved into the text? They asked every possible conceivable question, and they were thinking to themselves, I wonder what date that was on the calendar, because that's not a small deal. That's a big deal. Here's God saying, time for a second chance, time for a new beginning. And remember, it's not haphazard when things happen in the Bible. If it happened on a specific date in the calendar, then there's a special energy that is being beamed into the world, so to speak, on that specific date. And this energy that's being beamed, I'm using a metaphor right now. If this energy, this spiritual force that's being beamed into the world is a force of second chances, of forgiveness, of makeovers, of let's try again. Are you with me? And so the rabbis are saying, I wonder when in the calendar we have that energy, because you know what? If something happened in the Bible, it reappears every year on that particular date, because there is a ray of light beamed into the world, and it doesn't happen just once, but it repeats the cycle, it repeats the pattern. That's why there's a calendar. We revisit those spiritual energies. You with me? Amazing. Amazing. You have brought your congregation to such a beautiful point, because I tell you, if I would say that to a group of people that hadn't been familiar with these types of ideas before, they'd look at me like I fell off the moon. They'd scratch their head and be like, what is this guy talking about? But you've done a brilliant job. Amazing. Okay, so the rabbis are saying, I wonder what date that is, because boy, oh boy, I want to touch that energy. I want to get involved in that energy. I want to be able to experience that ray of light. You know, Madonna, when she was going through her Kabbalistic stage, brought out an album. What was the name of her album? Ray of Light. And she named it that on purpose. You guys are not holding in Madonna? What's the matter with you people? You've got a lot of homework tonight. Okay, so this ray of light, this ray of repentance, this ray of second chances, this ray of let's heal, let's mend this fracture. When did that happen? Okay, Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. On the new moon of Elul, the Holy One, blessed be He, said to Moses, quote, ascend to me on the mountain, end quote. Amazing. Rosh Chodesh Elul is the date in the calendar where God beams the spiritual energy into our world of second chances. Do you realize what this means? In just a week from now, we have an opportunity to tap into the most underlying, most powerful spiritual light that there is. And continues the Midrash, they sounded the shofar throughout the camp, announcing that Moses had ascended, so that Israel would not stray again after idolatry. The Holy One, blessed be He, was exalted through that shofar. As it is written, God ascends with the sound of the shofar. Alei Elohim betruah. Beautiful. Beautiful. This tradition, in other words, this rabbinic midrash locates Moses' rising up the mountain for that final time to be able to bring back the second set of tablets at the beginning of Elul. And we were introduced to another theme that was just woven in so seamlessly, the theme of a shofar being blown. The shofar being blown. Question, yes. The question is, did Moses go up on the first, on Rosh Hashanah? The answer is that Moses went up on the very first day of Rosh Chodesh Elul. And he stayed there for 40 days. He was there from the first of Elul. That was the day he went up. Hold the question. It's a precious question. You will see later why that's so, okay? I'm going to come back to that. Yes. Excellent question. Excellent question. How long did it take Moses to get from the bottom to the top? It seems like one day. It seems like one day. Mount Sinai was not Mount Everest. It was not a big mountain. It was actually a low mountain. We, in our mind's eye, go Hollywood straight away, right? If I say Moses going up the mountain, you've got Charlton Heston, and that was when Charlton Heston ascended the mountain. Incredibly, Mount Sinai, this is going to shock you, it was a hill. Less so than a mountain. And the rabbis say, of course it was, because how else could God have given the Torah other than on a lowly, humble mountain? Last question, because I have to wrap this up, and I realize we're going to, over the gentleman in the white, yes. Rosh Chodesh Elul, the first of Elul. 40 days later. Yes. 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 We're going to see.
And they blow the shofar every day during the month of Elul.
And they blow the shofar every day during the month of Elul. I want to yeah, I'm going to skip the next one. Okay, we'll do the next one quickly. If you hear a shofar being blown In most cultures, it's universal. What is the noise of a ram's horn all over the world? Again, war, alarm, danger is coming. Danger is coming. There's war, there's alarm. That is a universal sound throughout the world. A ram's horn, like an alarm clock today. An alarm clock today. Something's coming. Wake up. Like, don't be asleep. Realize there's danger. Be alert. If we had that sound of a shofar, and only that sound of a shofar, we might get scared. We might think that there's a day of judgment coming. And we might think that there's an aspect here that if something's broken and it needs fixing, then it's going to be a difficult process, a grueling process, a harrowing, maybe even a negative process. And beautifully, we are taught it doesn't have to be. In fact, the process to repair, to healing, can be a process of love. Don't know if you're expecting that word or not. It can be a process of love. Because I want to take a look at the Song of Songs, chapter 6, verse 3. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. He grazes among the lilies. Have you heard this verse before? I am my beloved, and my beloved is mine. Does anyone know the Hebrew for that? Excellent, excellent. Ani ledodi v'dodi li. I am my beloved, and my beloved is mine. I am my lover's, and my lover is mine. Ani ledodi v'dodi li. In Hebrew, ani is spelt with an aleph. Ledodi, I am to my lover, lamed. V'dodi, and my lover, spelt with a vav. Li, spelt with another lamed. If you take aleph, lamed, vav, lamed, I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me, the first letters of those words spells the Hebrew word Elul. Elul. There is a hint in this month of Elul of being a lover. That we are lovers and our beloved is our lover back to us. This season that can motivate us to return isn't only through the scary sound of the shofar, the sound of emergency, the sound of urgency, the sound possibly of fear, but this season of return, of second chance, of repair, can also be motivated through the mode of love. In our relationships, we can have a fight with someone we care about. And we're so worried about ruining the relationship, of losing the relationship, we'll do anything that we can to salvage the relationship. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I can't, I'm sorry, forgive me, please, please. And there's a real fear in losing them, in losing what this is. And there's a time and a place for that. But when an apology or an attempt at repairing comes from a place of fear of losing, then it's more about what you want and own than more so than what you have and are creating. There's another type of apology, of repair, of attempt to fix, and that is driven from a place not of fear but of love. I love you so much. I can't believe I acted the way that I did. Do you know how much I love you? Do you know how much this relationship means to me? I was an idiot. I was a fool. I wasn't thinking. I was selfish. I know who you are and I know what we have and I love you. And I want to build this with you. And I want to say sorry. And I want to repair this. Because this is so much more. I love you. There are moments when we can repair and they come from love. And that moment is called Elul. Ani ledodi v'dodi li, spelling Elul. I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to mine. And so we finish, and I'll bring this class to a close, with Elul being the moment when Moses was given the announcement, ascend back again. Climb up that mountain once more. Broken tablets are not the end of our relationship, but rather they're the beginning of carving out a new set for this possible future of what we can build together. And we will build it out of love. And that love is called Elul. Thank you very much.
We're just going to take a quick potty break or something, 5-10 minutes, and come back. We'll start again. 10 minutes. Hello, hello. Okay, everybody, get your seats, stop talking, and we're going to get started. Take it away, Mark.
Thank you so much, Pastor Biltz. It is an honor and a pleasure for me to be here with you. I'm assuming I do not need to go through the introductions once more. So if you're just tuning in at home or you are just joining us here, we are focusing on a 7-part exploration of the theme of Elul, otherwise referred to as the King is in the Field. And this was a subject that Pastor Mark chose and came up with, and we were so happy to work through it together. And we are coming now into session 2. Once again, if you have any questions, if something's not clear, stop me, raise your hand. It's a pleasure. We're going to do this in tandem. And let us see if we can go a little bit deeper after that first introduction. I will say that the advantage of this course is that it is thematic and it builds one upon the other. So if you are watching a recording of this, speaking to my future self right now, if you are watching a recording of this and you're starting with class 2, go back and start with class 1. Class 2 in many ways builds upon it. It does stand alone as as an individual unit, but it builds upon class 1. Let us go further. Let us go a little deeper. What I would like to suggest as my opening for this second class is an unusual idea, which on the surface sounds like a paradox at best, heresy at worst. And it has to do with God. And I'm going to say it. You're going to immediately hear how strange it sounds. And if I can succeed in teaching class 2, then by the end of this class you will say, yeah, it makes perfect sense, obviously. But at the beginning, I'm going to say something and you'll scratch your heads and you'll say, well, that's weird. Or, that's if you're charitable. Or you'll say, well, that's wrong. But bear with me and hold your judgment in suspense until the end. And maybe by the end of this class, you'll say, actually, it makes perfect sense. And that is as follows. Elul is a time where God is a little bit different than he is the rest of the year. Now the skeptics among you are like, heresy, I knew we shouldn't have invited him. Those more charitable are, well, that's just wrong. And why are you feeling that way? You're feeling that way for good reason. Because we were taught God is immutable. God doesn't change. God is all-powerful, all-being. He is the beginning. He is the end. God is infinite. God is the pure constant. And the audacity of this man to stand up in front of you and to say that God feels a little bit different at a different time of the year. Let me see if I can prove that contention to you. And for this, we're going to open with Deuteronomy chapter 4. Do you have your source sheets on class 2? Does it have Deuteronomy 4 as the first source? Baruch Hashem. You know that expression, Baruch Hashem? It means thank God, although you usually say it when you're in a little bit of trouble and somehow you get out of trouble. So when the source sheet has exactly what it's supposed to be, thank God for that. Baruch Hashem. Ki mi goy gadol asher lo Elohim krovim elav, ka Hashem Eloheinu, b'chol kareinu elav. For what great nation is there that has God so near to it as the Lord our God is whenever we call upon him? Moses, in the book of Deuteronomy, is praising the Israelites. And the way in which he praises the Israelites is, how incredible is this nation that what? That has God near it. And then he goes on, look carefully at the end of that sentence, at the end of the verse. For God is near whenever we call upon him. God cannot be confined to a place. This we know. And yet, when we are able to call out to God, seemingly, somehow, almost without being able to even articulate or explain how it even works, when we call out to God, he's near. He's right there. My teacher once put it this way, I'm paraphrasing. God is further from us than the most distant of galaxies. And yet when we call out to him, he is nearer to us than we are to ourselves. There is God as we encounter him in nature. There is God as we encounter him in the physical universe. And then there is God as we encounter him when we call out to him. And while it is a cliche, the great truism is that in moments of desperation, in moments of darkness in our lives, in the moments that are the hardest of all, when we call out to him, it's sometimes that there's only one set of footprints in the sand. And amazingly, we can call out to him and realize that he is carrying us when we don't have the strength to walk the distance ourselves. Deuteronomy describes Moses' praise of Israel by telling them what a great nation you are. You have a God that is so near to you, for whenever you call out to him, he is there. My rabbi's name was Rabbi Jonathan Sachs. I want to jump to Isaiah. You know, if you meet Isaiah in Jerusalem and you say, "Oh, it's Isaiah," he'll walk straight past you, because that's the anglicization of his name. If you go to Jerusalem, and I hope you do go to Jerusalem, and by the way, this might be a great time to share that next October 2027, Pastor Mark is having a Feast of Tabernacles trip to Israel. And I count my lucky stars, he's asked Israel 365 to accompany him on the journey. So if you come to Israel next October, you'll unfortunately be stuck with me. But there's some good people in the company too, okay? Please.
Okay, I haven't announced this to everybody yet, so I will go ahead and say what we're going to be doing is going to be the most mind-blowing. As you know, in Zechariah, all the nations are coming up to Jerusalem to keep the Feast of Tabernacles, and we know from Isaiah 2, Micah 4, or Micah 2, Isaiah 4, it says the Torah will go forth from Zion, and our plan is to help the Jewish people fulfill the prophecy to have the Torah going from Zion to all the Gentiles that want to join us from all over the world.
This is going to be a blessing, the likes of which may be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And if you would like to walk through the streets of Jerusalem in praise and thanksgiving, October 2027, I will be walking alongside you. 2027, we are giving you 15 months to prepare. So sell that kidney, or sell your kid, whatever. And we're giving you 15 months, and we will be dancing through the streets of Jerusalem together. And when you come to Jerusalem and you meet Isaiah, and you'll say, "It's Isaiah," he'll walk straight past you, because his name was Yeshayahu. Say that with me, Yeshayahu. And so if you see Isaiah, don't say, hey, it's Isaiah, the prophet. You'll say, Yeshayahu, Shalom. And the prophet Yeshayahu will turn to you and he will say, Shalom. Wouldn't that be nice for the prophet Isaiah to bless you with the blessings of Shalom? That would be so nice. This was an incredible human being, one of the greatest of the greats. Yeshayahu 55. These words, if you have a close-up of the cat, I get goosebumps. Get goosebumps. These are some of my most inspirational words I find in the entire Hebrew Bible. I have to say it in the Hebrew. Bear with me. It's one line. I have to say it in the Hebrew because that's how Yeshayahu spoke them in the streets of Jerusalem. Dirshu Adonai behimatza'ah. Seek out the Lord where he can be found. Kara'uhu behiyoto karov. Call out to him when he is near. Let the wicked abandon his way and the sinful person his thoughts. Let him return to the Lord, and he will have mercy upon him, to our God, for he abundantly forgives. Now again, this is not a beginner's class. These are the beloved, precious students of Pastor Mark Biltz. So this is the advanced class that I'm dealing with here today. Let's read that again, because every single one of you should have had your hand in the air. Hang on, Rabbi Fishman, wait a second. That doesn't make any sense. Were you paying attention? Take a look again, and you will see this is madness. How can Yeshayahu say such words? Dirshu Hashem behimatza'ah, kara'uhu beyoto karov. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him when he may be near. Excuse you me, is there a time when God cannot be found? That we have to now call upon him when he can be found? Is there a time when God is not near? That Yeshayahu says, seek him out when he is near? Surely God can be found always. Surely God is found and near always. What is the prophet speaking about? Amazingly, we are forced with no alternative but to come to the conclusion that lo and behold, yes, there is a time when God can be found. And there is a time when God is near. You know, there's a story told of a young Hasidic rabbi when he was still a child. And he ran away from school, he ran away from his teacher, and he didn't participate in the lessons. And everybody was curious, where did the little boy go? And the teacher went looking for him one day. And he followed him out of the class, and he kept an eye on him, and he saw where he was running off to. And he followed him, and he discovered that the young boy had gone into the fields. The young boy had gone into the woods. The young boy had gone into nature. And he was found among the trees. And the teacher turned and said to the young student, when he caught up with him, "What are you doing here? Why did you run out of the class? We were learning Torah. We were learning the Word of God. We were accessing God." To which the young boy turned around to his teacher and he said, "God is in the forest." To which the teacher said, "But God is also in the classroom." To which the young boy replied, "But I feel God more closely when I'm out in the forest." There are certain moments, there are even certain geographical locations where we feel closer to God. There can be places, and by the way, it does not have to be picturesque. It does not have to be on the top of a mountain peak with the sun setting and the waterfall just so in the south of France with a glass of champagne. I mean, if we're going for we might as well. It could be in the car. It could be in the kitchen. It could be in the shower. There are moments in our life, there are places in our world where when we go there, we know we will encounter God. Does that mean that God is not everywhere? Of course it does not. God is everywhere. But we don't experience him everywhere. And like that boy in the story, sometimes we have to go to a certain location because this is where I feel God more. Question. Loud voice, please.
It says to seek the Lord while he might be found, right? So the time where he can't be found, does that mean that after is there any line in Judaism that kind of hears at at Messiah's return being during Tishri after Elul's over?
I don't think we're talking about the Messiah here. We're speaking about
Messiah. When Messiah returns in the day of judgment,
right?
Does he come after Elul is over, at the beginning of Tishri? Is there any teaching like that in
After
Judaism?
the evil is over?
Elul. So
Elul.
I'm sorry, I'm not good in the Hebrew. Hebrew and pronunciation.
So let's pause the question because it's going to take us off topic. Let's pause the question. Right now we're speaking about God and accessing God in a way where we can feel close to him. Yeah, let's pause that question. It's going to take. It's okay. It's okay. Let's build up. We will get there. We will get there. Let's build up to it. I'm going step by step by step. I don't want to jump because I'm going to lose people if I jump. Next step. Psalm 145. It's fine. We're building a picture. The Lord is near to all who call upon him, to all who call upon him in truth. We add an additional component into the picture now. It's not just that we are calling out to God and he is near to us. There has to be a criteria for that call that we are using. What is the criteria that we're using? Truth. So far, let's put these building blocks together. Deuteronomy 4. What great nation is there that has God so near to it as the Lord our God is there whenever we call upon him? Moses praising Israel for having the Lord near. Yeshayahu. Seek the Lord when he is to be found. Call upon him when he is near. Psalms. The Lord is near to all who call upon him, to all who call upon him in truth. There are places and there are times when God is near. Taking all of these ideas together and that parable of the young boy who ran away from class, I want to bring you into a parable. This parable was written in the 1700s by a rabbi by the name of Rabbi Shneir Zalman of Liadi. Anybody heard that name? Shneir Zalman of Liadi. He writes a parable, and the parable is on this concept of closeness. Take a look. Do you see where it is on your sheets? You have it? Okay. Before a king enters his city, the people go out to greet him in the field. Stop there. Where does the king live? In a house? In a palace? In the city? Where is the king at the beginning of this parable? Don't take any line for granted. Before a king enters his city, well, hang on a second. Is he in the city? No, because he hasn't entered the city yet. So he is outside somewhere. He's in the field. The people go out to greet him in the field. But hang on a second. Does that mean he's always in the field? It just means that before he enters the city, where does he first go? The field. Good. So where is he prior to entering his city? We don't know. We don't know. He's on a journey. He's elsewhere. The king is somewhere else. And then there comes a time when the king will enter his city. Fine, I'm good with that. But prior to him entering the city, the people go out to greet him in the field. By the way, who lives in the city? The city dwellers. The nobleman. If this parable is written in the 1700s, presumably it's the noblemen who live in the city. Perhaps the wealthy. Perhaps even royalty. Who lives out in the field? The servants, the workers. Who else? The peasants, the commoners. And before the king enters the city, the people go out to greet him in the field. Who greets the king first? The peasants, the commoners. And where? In the field. Do you see how much unpacking you have to do to understand one line? Sounds so simple, right? Deceptively simple. Read it again with me. Before a king enters his city, the people go out to greet him in the field. Had we just ran through that, you would have been nodding, being like, yep, I got it, I understand. We have to unpack it. There's a lot here. Question.
Well, when it says the people go out to greet him, that means they had to be somewhere, not in the field.
Excellent. Excellent. Now you know why I love your pastor. He is so good. He is so good. So maybe the people that are going out are not the commoners. Maybe they're the royalty that are in the city. Now you're teaching me. Beautiful. Love that. Love that. Thank you. Thank you very much. At that time, everyone who desires may approach him. He receives everyone graciously and shows each person a smiling countenance. When he enters the city, however, they follow him to the royal palace, where entry is possible only by permission. The royal palace entry is only possible by permission. Don't know if anyone here has gone to Buckingham Palace. I mean, obviously I was going to go there. You knew I was going to go there, right? I don't know if anyone has gone to Buckingham Palace, but can you access inside Buckingham Palace on an ordinary day? You are at the gates. If you're lucky, you'll see the changing of the guards. By the way, still worthwhile. Still worthwhile. On rare occasion, you can get access to Buckingham Palace, but it's only by appointment. It's only by invitation. And even then, you're usually in the outer public rooms. You are certainly not in the inner sanctum of the throne room. This parable is extremely important. And I want to now transfer this parable onto the message that it's actually communicating. The field is ordinary life. And the same king that will appear in the palace later on in the city, that same king will go out to the field first and prior. And those people that he receives in the field, he receives with a big, warm, smiling face. As if to say, here, right now, in this field, we're equals. Or if not equals, friends. Yes, I'm the king. Yes, you're my subjects. But here we can walk hand in hand. Here I can see you and smile at you. Here I can see you in the fullness of your beauty. Here I can behold you and see what is so fine and good. Here you get my smile. You get a warm countenance. Later, I'm going to go into the city. And with that, the palace. And ultimately, inside the palace, onto the throne room. And there, you want to come before me as I sit on the throne? Well, there you need an invitation. There it's not just anybody, anyhow, anywhere, anyway. And there, it's not so clear if it will be a smile that you will receive. Because sitting on that throne, it's a throne of judgment. But first, I go out to the field. Friends, by now, if we take these two halves together, how great is this nation that has a God that is so near to it? Seek God when he is to be found. God is close to all of those who call upon him in truth. And the parable of the king entering the field, we realize that we are talking about two halves, two sides of the same coin. Because there is a time when God is close to us. And by now it should come as no surprise for you to realize that the field is the month of Elul. And it's when the king goes into the city and sits on the throne of judgment, that's already Rosh Hashanah. That's later. That's after this beautiful month of love, as we're now calling it, Elul, the month of love. I think it's based on a selection of a composite of many approaches within the Torah. What happens in the field? Ordinary life. Work. The grind. The routine. The run of the mill. And where do we encounter God? In that field. What the parable of the king entering the field is teaching us is do not think that you can only access God on special holy days and feasts. Do not think that God is only found in those particular clear-cut moments of spirituality. You can find him in the most ordinary of places. You can find him in the kitchen. You can find him in the office. You can find him when you fall off your bike and scrape your knee. And there might be blood, and there might be a moment of pain. And it's that presence saying, get back up on that bicycle again and start moving. Because even when you fall, I'm here. Even when you fail, I am He. Even when you falter, I will be there to pick you back up again. The field is the ordinary. The field are the moments of our lives where there's no lightning, and there's no flashing, and there's no shining white horse with a knight in shining armor that comes swooping by to sweep us up our feet in a moment of exhilaration. Some of my most profoundest conversations with God happen by surprise when I'm walking home after I get off after the bus. And I speak to him. Had a tough day today. My boss shouted at me. I'm getting frustrated with my kids. You know, things aren't going the way they are. I thought it would look different than it does. And I'm just talking to him out loud. I mean, thank God we now have Apple headphones, because now I don't look like a crazy person. Everyone just thinks I'm having a wireless conversation on the phone. I mean, I am having a wireless conversation, but it's the phone. And those moments, they can happen spontaneously. I don't want you to be don't think that it's all the time and every day and that I'm this deeply spiritual. I'm not. I want to be real with you. I'm not. But there are moments where I'm just in the hustle and bustle of the day, frustrated, down on my luck, feeling a bit sorry for myself, and I'm like, okay, God, I need help. I need strength. I need an extra push. I need you. Those are the moments of the field. And yes, they can happen every single day of the year. What we're being taught is, as well, that there's a specific time of the year where we can have those conversations, where we can feel that God is closer to us, and that is the month of Elul. Because if through the entire 11 months of the year, it's the ups and downs and routines of life, then the month of Elul comes around and we realize Rosh Hashanah's coming in a month. God's going to be sitting on the throne of judgment. And do you know what that means? If he's going into the city soon, he's coming out to the field first. And he's coming out to me and you. And he'll hold our hand. And he'll smile. And he'll walk along that journey with us. Do you know what it would look like to get a smile from God? It would be everything. We wouldn't need anything else. We would have it all. And we can have it all. It's called the month of Elul. It's called The King is in the Field. And now you realize why Pastor Mark gave that name to this entire series. The King is in the field. We, you and me, have a chance during Elul, without the judgments, without being under a microscope, without the magnifying glass, without looking at what we've done wrong and looking at our mistakes, we get God holding us by the hand, coming out to us, smiling, smiling? What could be warmer? What could be better? What could be more wholesome? What could be more holy? God is close to those who call out upon him, in truth. And now I want to show you where that must initiate from. Take a look at Song of Songs, chapter 6, verse 3. Do you have it? Ani ledodi v'dodi li haro'eh b'shoshanim. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. He grazes among the lilies. God approaches us during Elul. But look at the order of the verse. Between these two lovers, who is the first to make the first move? I am my beloved's. Do you know who has to take the first step? We do. We do. This can be excruciating. Because anybody that's been sleeping on the couch, or sleeping in the doghouse, or been thrown out, or has been on the receiving end of harsh words, or has had somebody upset with them, initiating, I'd rather chop my right arm off. Initiating? I mean, look, you can't blame me. I'm British. I come from the land of sweeping it under the rug. It's our greatest quality. Brits do it all the time. Huge big fight. Compose yourself. 10 minutes later, deep breath. What should we have for dinner? But if you don't sweep it under the rug and you initiate, listen, I want to address what happened. Oh my God. I want to address what happened. Well, that's just opening yourself up and drawing a huge big bullseye, and the target's now on. Okay, we can address what happened. You're an idiot. Okay, sorry. I would like to start. I'd like to reach out. I'd like to make amends. I'd like to apologize. I'd like to say sorry. I'd like to share with you how much I'm hurt. I'd like to tell you how I let myself down as well as us as a couple. I'd like to tell you how I want to rebuild. I want to tell you how much love there is in my heart. I want to share with you that this is something worth fighting for. I want to tell you I love you. I love you. I love you. Let me reach out. Let me initiate. Let me begin. Because I am to my beloved. And then my beloved is to me. If we want to find God in Elul, we have to go out to the field to start the search. It's no good telling yourself, 20 pounds overweight, and I need to fit into my pants once again, and this looks like an economy family-sized bag of chips, and my favorite series has just been renewed on Netflix, and I'm sitting on the couch and we're going to have a great night tonight. You want to fit inside those pants again? Again, I'm talking to myself. God forbid I would not be. Then stop eating the chips and start eating the salad. You initiating is going to be what sets in motion the symbiotic relationship of that two-way street. I will take a step towards you, and then you will take a step towards me. I will begin, and it always has to be that way, because God wants one thing and one thing only. He wants us. He wants us. And there's one thing and one thing only he cannot do. And that is move the human heart. And he's waiting. And he's waiting. In my mind's eye, that image is of a telephone. There's a few people here that are not teenagers, thank God. I'm talking about one of those telephones. I'm not talking about the earbud in my ear where, Siri, call the school. I'm talking about a real phone. Remember the rotary phones? Am I dating myself? For those more younger of the crowd, it used to have a 20-foot wire connected to the wall. For the young generation. And there was only one line, and there was only one of them. But that phone, that rotary phone, in my mind's eye, there's a huge table up in heaven. And there's a phone on that table. And God's sitting by that table, and you know what he's doing? He's waiting. And all he wants is us to pick up the phone at the other end and make that call. Because all he wants is relationship. All he wants is to bestow his boundless love upon us. All he wants is to fill us with blessing. And the only way that that begins is that God is close to those who call out to him. To those who call out to him in truth. And if we can make that call, then God will pick up at the other end. I want to jump to Maimonides. Maimonides, 1100s, born in Spain, traveled to Morocco, ended his life in Egypt. He was a rabbi, he was a doctor, a philosopher. He was a famous doctor. When he moved to Egypt, he became the official royal doctor in the palace of the Sultan of Egypt. Prolific writer. And he writes about these themes that we have been touching upon. I want you to hear the words of Maimonides when he says we initiate. When we take that first step, when we reach out, when we begin, ani le dodi. I am to my beloved. I'm going to start. I'm going to call. I'm going to begin. Then V'dodi li, then my beloved is to me. Look at how he describes that process. Because what do we call in Hebrew that process of mending the relationship, of building the relationship, of fixing what is broken? We call it teshuvah. Teshuvah. Literally it means return. But it's not a great translation. It means something so much more. It means coming closer again to our beloved. And Maimonides says, Teshuvah brings near those who were distant. Yesterday, this person was separated and far away. Have you ever felt like that? you ever felt like you are separated from God? Have you ever felt like you are far away from God? After teshuvah, after a return, after an initiation, after taking the first step, after going to seek Him, after ani ledodi. Yesterday, this person was separated and far away. Today, he is beloved. He is desirable, close, and a friend. Doesn't that just fill your heart? Do you know what could be the greatest description on anyone's CV ever written in the history of humanity? Who are you? I'm God's friend. God is my friend. I know we're not used to speaking like this. I know that this might sound a little almost heretical. This might sound simplistic. This might sound basic. I think that this is the height of theology. And friends, it's simple. It's not simplistic, but it's simple. Do you know who you are when you initiate? You're God's friend. Wouldn't it be lovely to be called God's friend? Yesterday he cried out and was not answered. Today he cries out and is answered immediately. And now we come to the greatest message of this whole presentation. Presentation number 2. What is the purpose of the king being in the field? What is the purpose of Elul? The purpose is the transformation of distance into relationship. I'll say that again because that's everything. If you want to stick anything on your fridge when you go home tonight, this is what you want to stick on your fridge. The purpose of Elul is the transformation of distance into relationship. We have an opportunity to call out to God when God is near. And God enters into the field of our own lives. And friends, I want you to translate that word field into your own life. It doesn't just have to be the time span we are calling Elul. It doesn't only have to exist that way. Maybe there is a field in your life. Maybe it's a place that's far away from the palace, a place that's mundane, a place that's ordinary, a place where you reside, a place where you might feel far away. And we, through teshuvah, we, through initiation, can turn that field, that distance, into relationship. But we have to answer the question for ourselves, what does it mean to call out to God in truth? Because when we call out to God in truth, that's when He is near, and that's when He answers. And so in your life, and I'll finish with this, and this will be your homework for this evening. What is stopping you calling out to God in truth? What are the truths that you know? The truths that are right there in your life? And yet we still are, I just can't. I want, but I can't. Fill in that gap. Fill in that answer. Wipe away that mirror with its dust on it and realize that the dirt might be on our own faces. And then when we wash ourselves, we can call out to God in truth. The truth of taking a step, the truth of becoming clean, the truth of purity, the truth of initiation. And when we begin, ani ledodi, God reciprocates, v'dodi li. God will be able to come out to us in that field and hold our hand and smile. And we can be God's friend. Thank you.
All right, let's give him a big hand. Woohoo! All right, here's the schedule for tomorrow. We're going to start at 10, and it's completely over at 2:30. So we have like an hour from 10 to 11, a little break, and then another class, and then lunch, and then come back, and we'll have another class. So those of you online, that is 10 a.m. Pacific time. But we'd love to have all of you come back again that can be able to come on a Monday, and let's have a great time. Yay, let's give him another big hand. Yay! I'm sorry he doesn't have any products available, but they have a lot of products on their website. Yeah, want to explain real quick some of the products?
Sure. We're an education. We have created a number of books on the Bible written by Orthodox Jews for a Christian audience. So if you would like to have a deeper understanding of the Hebrew Bible, and it's not just biblical books, but books on contemporary society, politics, and sociology, there are a wealth of books there, as well as an online store of products from the land of Israel. So these might be olive oil or bottles of wine, even soil from the Temple Mount itself, and some fascinating products there. So you can take a look at our store. In addition to materials, there is, and this is how I started, our Bible Plus program. This is a monthly subscription where you can join any book of the Bible on your schedule, on your time. Dip in as much as you like. You can watch everything and binge watch it all in a month, or you can continue watching it and learning over a course of time. Join when you like, where you like, and study what you like. And there are hundreds and hundreds of classes available. And these are for those who are sitting here, these are the bookmarks that I have brought with me. So this is for you. They're on the table. Please take a bookmark. There's a QR code at the bottom, and that will send you to the website where you will be able to sign up for our Bible Plus subscription. I'm here to answer any questions for those who'd like to stick around. And what an honor and joy this was. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm happy to answer any questions of anyone who wishes to stay behind. Thank you.
Going once? No questions. Going twice? Oh, forget it.
I was going to ask it earlier. I just didn't. Joshua 1:9 talks about not having fear, not having anxiety, that your Lord God is always with you. It ends. And I kept thinking of that the whole time you were talking about, is he always there or is he not? Sounds like he always is.
Yeah, that's a great question. Joshua 1:9, that we're told not to have fear and have courage. You know who you tell somebody don't have any fear to? Someone that's afraid. Because if they weren't afraid, you wouldn't need to tell them, don't worry. So when Joshua is saying, don't have fear, this wasn't a nation of people that we're ready, we're tough, we're strong. It was people that needed the encouragement to hear, don't be afraid.
One thing I just want to comment real quick about what he said. You can have two people that absolutely cannot stand each other standing next to each other. They're very near, but they are worlds away. And also, when the tabernacle was in the wilderness, God's presence was there, unlike anywhere else in the world. That doesn't mean he wasn't everywhere in the world, but he manifests himself in different ways, at different places, at different times, which is why you want to keep the appointed times. Beautiful. Or you can have two people far away, and yet they're very near. So I believe it's not spatially when he says, He's near, if that makes sense.
So I noticed that listening and studying online under different rabbis and stuff, it seems like this month of Elul is almost like fearful mourning, be serious, we've got to fast, we've got to take care of our spiritual life or God's going to judge us. So I like your approach, but I'm wondering how you came to that approach.
Excellent. You can see an opportunity as one of great trepidation. And if you are unprepared and you have a big test coming up, then that's going to fill you with great fear because I just don't know the answers to this. Or you can have a parable. Can I keep you for another 2 minutes for a parable? Okay. The parable goes like this. There was once a young girl who joined school, and from the age of 5, she had a dream. Her dream was to be a doctor. And everyone that was in the plays and the ballets and song and dance, they all had their, but this girl, she had her dream. And you'd ask her, what do you want to do? And who do you want to be? My dream is to be a doctor. And as she grew up, she took her studies seriously. And she was top of her class. And she was proud. And as she finished elementary school, she went to middle school. And as they all asked everyone on the first day of middle school, what do you want to be when you grow up? I've got a dream. And my dream is to be a doctor. And she finished middle school and everyone saw that she was the smart one in the class. And she went on to high school and she set the standard. And she really shone. And she was the top of the class. And she worked hard because she had a dream. That dream was to be a doctor. And after high school, she got accepted into university. And suddenly, for the first time in her life, she wasn't top of her class anymore. And not only was she not top of the class, but she'd stopped getting hundreds for the first time ever, and she didn't know what hit her. And she buckled down, and she studied hard. And while some people were going out partying, and they were having fun, she studied like crazy. She didn't socialize as much as the rest because she had a dream. And in her second year and third year, her grades were back up. And she indeed was top of the class. And she got accepted into med school. And now in med school, she was surrounded by everybody that was top of the class. And everybody that was pushing themselves hard. And this was the greatest pressure she'd ever been under. And she didn't sleep. She pushed herself and knocking back the coffees. She went to bed late and she got up early because she had a dream. And after graduating medical school, she went on to a postdoc because she wanted not only to be a doctor, but she wanted to be a surgeon. And she had a dream. And now in a school of other surgeons, it was coffee 24/7, and it was working on the rounds and being an intern, and she didn't sleep. And for years, she pushed herself, and it was excruciating. And it was her dream. And finally, after this postdoc, she found herself in surgery. And on one moment, as she was looking back over the course of her life, now in her late 20s, seeing her life flash before her eyes, walking into elementary school, saying who she wanted to be in middle school, top of the class in high school, pushing herself in university, making sure she had the grades at med school, making sure that in her surgery postdoc she could be what she was always dreaming of. Out of this daydream, the doors slam open and the sirens are whirling and the lights are flashing and people are screaming. It's a nightmare out there. It's a nightmare. He's been shot. There's blood everywhere. There's blood everywhere. And everyone runs in the opposite direction. And people are afraid and they're fearful. And all you hear is screaming and there's chaos. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Don't go in there. And as she's jolted out of this moment, she picks herself up and she starts walking, even running towards where she has to go. And people are turning, what are you doing? Are you crazy? This is a nightmare. She said, no, this isn't a nightmare. This is my dream. This is the moment I've been waiting for my entire life. I'm going to run towards it because this is the opportunity of a lifetime in a lifetime of opportunity. So if you're going to approach this moment ill-prepared, it's nothing more than a nightmare. But if encountering God is what you've been waiting for your whole life, then you will run towards it in joy, knowing that this is your dream.
One of the things that I always think of, and how many of you like it when people just show up at your door? I mean, some, if you're ready, you don't mind, but some of you would like a day or a week's notice. Okay? Well, think about this. I see the month of Elul as a warning to all those people in this city. They get an advance notice that he's in the field. And if they're not ready, God always warns before he brings judgment. So I don't see this warning as a negative thing. I see this warning as a positive thinking. God gave you an advance notice. He's in the field first for a whole month before you can clean your room before he gets there.
Beautiful. Yes. Question.
I just want to add on to that too. Yes, to get ready, but also too, there are people out there that are hurting, and we, knowing that the king is coming, coming to the field, we're supposed to help those who don't know and those who are fearful. That's our job. So just like, the lady, you run towards the people who got shot. And that's what I wanted to say.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock.